Breaker Crunchers. It's Saturday night in Phoenix, Arizona. My name is Lance. You are watching a brand new episode of Couch Crunchers, where we saw two movies this last week, and one of them was easily predictable, and the other one, we still don't know if we watched it. So, with me tonight is Sam and Max. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Wait, what was the predictable one?
Yeah, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. You're talking about New Mutants.
Yes. Because what? We saw those pretty close to each other. I saw it Saturday and then saw TENET on Monday. And my freaking camera, dude, I don't know what the hell. Spent $120 on a camera and it never focuses. So I'm going to look like I'm in a fishbowl for the rest of the night. So as you might have heard, we are talking about TENET tonight. Did you guys like that little graphic I did for the thumbnail with the couch going one way and then opposite?
I thought that was really, really neat.
Yeah, it's really cool, man.
I'm starting to get pretty clever with these things, guys.
Yeah, go ahead and pat yourself on the back for that. You did a good job.
Well, I sat down today to do it.
If you don't toot your own horn, who else is going to toot it for you?
I know. Lord knows my wife doesn't.
Sex joke.
So I failed Sam and Max yesterday, and Tyler. I was supposed to go to Sam's house I didn't really fail Sam. I was worried that I failed Sam. But I was supposed to go to Sam's house to pick up our Wild Bill's grape soda, and I forgot. So Max does not have Wild Bill's to drink tonight.
Sorry, Max. I still have the full case.
Yeah, I may come tomorrow if that's all right with Sam, and then we'll have to save a can so we can all drink it on air next week. But yeah, guys, lots of stuff happened this week, I think. I mean, the Avengers game came out. Max and I have been playing it, and I got to tell you, really fun game. The most buggy game I've ever played in my life, though.
It has some weird bugs for sure, and it's also pretty generic, but it's fun. Like, it's fun. The story's really cool. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's got some weird bugs.
It definitely feels like it's nowhere near on par as the Spider-Man game. I know that they're trying to be like the Spider-Man game. I've never been a fan of Square Enix to begin with. I know you are because they have the Final Fantasy games, right?
Yeah.
I've never been a fan, but
this is the exact same developer that made the Tomb Raider games. So the reboot of Tomb Raider was Crystal Dynamics. They're the ones that made the Avengers game. So I've loved their stuff in the past. Although the last Tomb Raider game wasn't them, but the first two and the reboot were them, and it was fantastic games. And Avengers is definitely less. I don't know how to explain it. It's not quite as like fun combat wise as Tomb Raider, but the fact that you're playing as an Avenger and you've got a ton of different characters to play as, you're in this world, like it's fun. I don't know if I'm making much sense. Like, it's fun, but it's fun,
but it doesn't take a lot of skill, really. Like, Max knows I'm not a huge gamer, but my games are like The Last of Us and Red Dead and Uncharted and stuff that takes a little bit more of a skill to play it. Whereas this one, bad guys enter a room and you just start swinging, pretty much. Like, it's just a smash 'em up type game. And Spider-Man, there was a lot more skill taken into it and side missions and stuff. This doesn't feel like there's many side missions. It's not open world, and
you'll get to the side missions, but it's not open world, which is disappointing. But at the same time, I think I understand why they decided to go that route. But it's fun, but it's not like great. It's really hard to explain it. Like, I want to keep playing. I'm really enjoying it, and I even want to get into like the end game stuff. But it's not like an amazing game. It's just kind of like
the story so far has been really good. It's kind of a cross between the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. storyline with the remind me what the mist is called, Max. Terrigen.
Terrigenesis.
Terrigenesis, yeah. It's kind of a mix between
into a human.
Yeah, it's kind of a mix between that storyline that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. did and the Iron Man 3 storyline.
I don't
With
see the
AIM and
Iron
all
Man
that
3.
stuff.
Oh yeah, AIM. Yeah, it's a cool
the
story.
scientist is the main guy, right?
Yeah, but it's not the same. I don't think it's the same character. So this is MODOK that we're the main villain of the game is MODOK, which we haven't seen in the movies before. And then the other thing that's nice about the game is that it's got Kamala Khan, who's Miss Marvel, who also isn't
Right.
in the movies. And I think that those characters and Monica, who's like the scientist sidekick of MODOK, there's some new characters, and that for me is where the game is really shining. It is exceptionally difficult to see Bruce Banner, Tony Stark, Thor, Black Widow. It's really hard to like watch them on screen in the game and not be a little bit wigged out by the fact that they are not the MCU characters. You know what I mean? I'm getting more used to it now, but they look a little off and they don't sound the same, and it's just kind of like it's just a little bit off-putting at times, which is why Kamala Khan is such a breath of fresh air because I have no other exposure to that character. It's been really fun to see her.
Well, they are making a show with her coming out soon, right? On Disney Plus.
I don't know that they've even cast it, but yes, they are.
But that is one of the ones announced, right? With
Yeah.
She-Hulk, and they announced like 3 shows. I think it was that one, She-Hulk, and something else. I don't remember, but
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight, yeah.
Yeah.
So, which Moon Knight I'm really excited for. But Sam, do you play video games ever? Like, is that your thing? I know you play Smash Bros.
Yeah, in fact, that's all I've been playing recently. My little boys, I have 3 boys, and they've all decided who their main characters are going to be in Smash. And so we've been doing Smash tournaments for the last week, every day for the last week. I usually play Jigglypuff because he has the move that I love called Rest. My son has decided he's going to be Pit from Kid Icarus. That's my oldest son. My middle son is Toon Link from Wind Waker, and my youngest son likes to play the Mii Fighters, which are customizable characters, and you can choose either a sword fighter or a gun fighter or a brawler who just kind of fights with his fists. And honestly, they're kicking my butt. they're
a hardcore
really,
fan
really
like
good.
yourself is getting his butt kicked. I've never seen somebody so much into Smash Bros. As you, dude. Like, it's crazy.
It is both satisfying and frustrating to get my butt kicked by my sons. They're reaching a stage where they're developing new skills all the time, and I'm fading. Like I'm not going to get any better, right?
Yeah.
My old ones aren't going to get any better. I'm just a blunt instrument anymore. So they're kicking my butt, and they're figuring out Jigglypuff's weaknesses, and they're wise to my Rest antics. But it's been a lot of fun. Been a lot of fun playing Smash Bros with my boys.
Yeah, I'm a big Smash Brothers fan, and I would be playing it too if my kids didn't brick every single Joy-Con that's in my house.
Yeah, that's a tough thing, and it takes a lot of patience to get to the point where your kids are old enough and you're willing to trust them with the game. We had to go through 2 Smash Bros games, the discs, because they broke the first one like 3 years ago, and then we couldn't play anymore. And then they finally convinced me to go buy another one, and that they were ready to replace the other one without breaking it. And so far, so good. We've had a great time.
Do you play it on the Wii or the Wii U or what?
Yeah, we play on Wii U. They call that one Smash 4. That version is Smash 4. It's not too different from Smash Ultimate. Smash Ultimate has a ton of characters, a ton more characters than the Smash 4. But it's pretty much the same mechanics. The other game that gets a lot of play is Melee, Smash Bros. Melee, because it has different mechanics than the rest of the games. For example, they don't get as big of knockback in Melee. The characters don't jump quite as high. The there's not as many characters, So there are two communities. There's like the latest game community, and then you've got the Melee community that's still going because it was a great game when it came out. And I think it was for the GameCube. Melee was for GameCube. So
yeah, which one's Brawl for?
That came out on the Wii. That's probably the weakest entry.
Melee is the GameCube, Brawl is the Wii, and
Smash
4 is the Wii U.
Yeah. And
so I own, I don't know if I've told you, but I own a very large collection of retro games. So I own every single iteration of it. But my favorite, has to be the N64 version. Nothing beats the original. Yeah. And Smash is a fun game, dude. I've always sucked at it, though. It's different than any other fighting game.
I'm not very good, but recently we were playing at my my parents' house, and my sister and her husband live there, and they have it, and I was crushing everybody. It was wonderful. I'm not usually very good, but granted, most of them were kids. But at this point, kids are really good at video games now, man. Like usually, like these 11 and 12-year-old kids they're good enough to beat the crap out of you in a Smash Bros. Game. When I play Mario Kart, I get whooped.
My two older boys are really good at Smash Bros.
Yeah, my younger nephews whooped me at Mario Kart, so I expected the same on Smash Bros.
They know about all the tricks that I know, but there's like 3-4 more tricks that they need to get under their belt in order to become like tournament level. But they've surpassed me already. I can't do a tech. I can't do a spike. I'm not very good at ledge guarding.
I don't even know what any of this is. You're speaking another language.
Ledge guarding, it's like guarding yourself from the ledge, I'm assuming.
Well, so let's say here's the stage, and you have the ledge, which is right here, and a character trying to jump back on the stage. By ledge guarding, you're jumping off to take the battle into the air off the side of the stage, and you're fighting in the air.
And then you jump back on, and they stay off.
And you jump back on, and then they can't get back on. So that's like really advanced tournament technique. So if you want to get in a tournament, you got to get really good at ledge guarding. A tech is a very specific type of shield. So a lot of shields, they have kind of a ledge that has like a diagonal portion on the side here. And when you're doing your ledge guarding, sometimes you'll spike a character into that wall, and it shoots them straight down. Well, if you're the guy getting spiked, you hit your shield at a certain point, and it stops you from getting spiked. And so you kind of upward, and then you can get back on the stage.
Oh.
And that's called a tech.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm not.
Meanwhile, I'm learning.
I just punched people really hard.
Right. Meanwhile, I'm still trying to learn how to throw things once I pick them up.
Dude, I couldn't even figure out how to pick anything up. I couldn't even pick things up. That's why I was surprised I was winning. I was just jumping in the air and
You start button mashing, and you'll magically pick something up. You're like, yes, I got the axe. And now what?
Yeah, we had to put down we had to stop all of the items so that it would be more like tournament style.
I hate it.
In the tournaments, you don't get items, you don't get smash balls, so you just have to be good at dodging and moving and knowing all the techniques. They don't give you like blue shells or hammers or anything in the tournaments.
I don't like any of that stuff. I just want to punch people.
Yeah.
Now you all want to get into some Mario Kart. I'll start taking names, dude.
Yeah, you'd probably kick my butt in Mario Kart.
Dude, I am a pro at Mario Kart. I play online, dude, on the Switch. Well, when I had freaking Joy-Cons. I play online, dude, and I win first. I love Mario Kart, dude.
Mario Kart's fun. That's one of my favorite things to play.
What's your favorite Mario Kart game? Is it Mario Kart? Are you playing Mario Kart 8? Is that what you're playing?
I'll play Mario Kart 8 on the Switch, but I love Double Dash, dude.
That's a good one.
Yeah, Double Dash. It's called, right?
Yeah, where you got the two guys.
Yeah, you got the guy on the back, dude. He's throwing the stuff off. That one, when it came out, was panned, dude. Like, it was not a favorite, but in recent years, it's picked
up popularity.
Yeah. But yeah, the GameCube, I love the GameCube iterations of those games. The GameCube just didn't sell that great compared to some of their other systems, so the games are kind of harder to find. But I wanted to just make note of something, I guess. There's a reason I'm wearing my Absolute Geek shirt tonight. They lost one of their biggest fans of their show a couple days ago, Michael Stout. And we haven't had a lot of interaction with him, but I just wanted to say that our hearts are with the Absolute Geek guys tonight and Michael's family. And we did share a link to Michael's family's GoFundMe page and meal train pages on our Facebook page. If you are able, please give if you can. It's a horrible loss for a young family, and our condolences are with the family and the Absolute Geek family tonight. So
I do want to mention one thing. There was a note posted on the what was it called? Meal ticket?
Meal train.
On the Meal Train site, they said that they were preferring donations to their GoFundMe because the meal ticket takes a bigger cut of the donations than GoFundMe does. So they were asking folks to go to the GoFundMe and donate there.
It's good to know. Yeah, it's a horrible loss. I mean,
yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, it's a young guy, and I mean, I don't know what happened, but I know that he had a young family, and it's just really sad. So whatever our listeners, whether the ones listening tonight or on the podcast Monday, visit our Facebook page or the Absolute Geek Facebook page and donate if you can. I know times are hard for everybody right now, so that's horrible. So Matt's telling me that he had an aneurysm. So yeah,
that's really sad. If I remember, for the podcast listeners, I'm going to try to put a link to the GoFundMe in the show notes. So if you guys want to click on that's one way you can do it.
So with that being said, there's very little you can do to combat an aneurysm, but just remember to be taking care of yourself and doing everything you need to do to live as long as you can on this beautiful planet. So just take care of yourselves. I know it's hard right now because we're all locked in our homes, and it's been kind of difficult to get the sunlight when you need it, but just take care of yourselves. Tell your loved ones that you love them, and never waste a minute. So I'm sure my co-host will back me up on that sentiment.
Absolutely.
But let's get into our show. The main topic of our show tonight is Tenet. Or did you guys watch The Boys? The 3 episodes that were released?
I've watched 2.
I haven't watched them yet.
You haven't watched them yet?
And I wanted to plug another show too.
What's your other show you're plugging?
Well, HBO Max just released a new show by Ridley Scott called Raised by Wolves. They threw the first 3 episodes up on HBO Max. It's a really interesting sci-fi story. Very Ridley Scott. It's got alien vibes to it for sure. It's about these 2 androids who escape from Earth, and Earth has had a war going on for years between the atheists and those who believe in religion. And the androids are from the atheist sect. They escape Earth, and they're trying to raise a colony of humans on a new planet. And it's all about them raising those kids, and they're not Christians, but they're stand-in Christians. But the religious humans find their planet, and it's about kind of the interactions between them. It's just really interesting. It's an action, but it's also a drama. It's very, very fun. I'm only 2 episodes in of the 3 they've done, but it's got me very excited because I know, Lance, you like shows to just drop every episode at once, but I have been enjoying shows that do weekly updates because it gives me something to look forward to.
The Boys pissed me off, dude.
Yeah, so I'm really excited that The Boys is going to be weekly, because between The Boys and Raised by Wolves, I've got 2 shows to watch each week until basically up to The Mandalorian, which is releasing on October 30th. So I'm cool, man. I've got stuff to watch every single week now until probably end of November when Mandalorian ends, probably.
I have a theory about the
actually no December. Sorry.
I have a theory about releasing all episodes once or waiting every week. If you notice, Netflix, who comes out with consistent content, sometimes 4, 5, 6 shows on a weekend, will release every episode at once. They rarely get into the weekly things. Normally, they're reserved for like news type shows or something like that, commentary shows.
Yeah.
But when you have Prime, Disney Plus, who don't come out with shows very often, they need a reason for you to continue to not cancel your service. So it kind of ticks me off that I'm paying a fee, and they're doing this in opposed to releasing more content. That's the only reason I can see why they would be releasing weekly. It's because they're not releasing content. Just to string us along.
Potentially, yeah. And I think it also builds hype and helps drive more traffic to their service by people talking about it every single week.
People.
Well, no,
if that was true, Netflix would be losing people.
Well, Netflix has so much content.
Exactly. You just proved my point.
Yeah. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying that's the difference is these other services do have less content. And so to keep the conversation going, to drive people to their service, weekly releases helps to keep the conversations going.
It's true.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I agree with you. I just, the streaming services were supposed to be the anti-cable, right? That was supposed to be the anti-network, essentially, platform. And it seems in recent history that they're getting more and more, those lines are getting more and more blurred, right? The differences are becoming. Oh, Quantum Kyle says he saw New Mutants today.
Well, cool. Awesome.
But I don't know. It just drives me nuts because I'm like, I don't want to wait every week for a show. That's what network television is for. I don't subscribe to streaming networks for that. And then the great thing about streaming networks is I didn't have to compete. They didn't have to compete for my time, right? Because you could watch a show, then switch over to the next network and watch another show. And here's a beef I have too, Max. And you'll
wait, hang on.
Getting fiery. Lance is getting fiery.
Hang on, Lance. That's 3 topics you've covered in a row. Just a second. Speaking of going crazy.
Yeah.
I saw a movie on Netflix called I'm Thinking of Ending Things. You guys seen this one?
No.
Oh man, it's based on a book in which a girl is like thinking about breaking up with her boyfriend as they drive to his parents' house. And over the course of the book, you realize the girl is imaginary. She's not even real. And she's a figment of the boy's imagination, and she and the boyfriend are actually the same person. That's the book. The movie that it's based on is like, okay, yeah, we'll do that for the first half, but the second half, we're just going to go 100% Mel Brooks with this thing. And my wife and I are watching it, and I'm thinking, okay, there's going to be a reveal here eventually that, he and the girl are the same person, and nope, just turns into a full-on musical. Sing dance numbers, like just crazy town. Crazy town. And it never resolves anything. There's just like a song and dance number at the end, and that's it. I was like,
so you are not a fan.
Well, no, not really. It's crazy, but it's like a serious Blazing Saddles. Like you're watching a movie, and then it turns into just a stage play musical, and you're like, okay, they just are giving up the pretense that this is a real story and go straight to musical.
Whoa. As if musical can't be a real story. Come on now.
No, it can be, but I'm saying like they're giving up the pretense that these are real people having a real interaction, and it just goes straight into a stage play due to singing on stage. It's just like a high school production. It stars Jesse Plemons, who was the bad guy in the last season of Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I saw I saw a brief trailer for it. I think I was flipping through, but I saw that he was coming out with a new show. I love Jesse Plemons, dude. He was awesome as the bad guy.
You'll love this because he's all over it.
Yeah, he was in Date Night, dude. Or Game Night. Game Night was him, right? Where he's like the creepy cop.
I'm not sure.
He plays the boyfriend. It's just.
Oh, you're talking about. Okay, you're talking about the blonde guy.
Yeah.
The one who's kind of like the villain in Jesse's movie. Yeah. That I'm pretty sure that's the exact same person.
El Camino. Yeah, he was in El Camino. Yeah, he had a big role in El Camino. And
you're like, the same cop in Game Night, Lance. That character's freaking funny.
Yeah, he's the best part of that whole movie. Have you seen Game Night, Sam?
Oh man, that's movie's great.
Yeah.
He's the one with the dog that gets covered in blood and stuff like that because Jason Bateman covers him in blood, and that's the best part of the whole movie.
I need to rewatch that one. I think my wife would like it. I want to watch it with her.
Yeah, but
Jesse Plemons. That's him.
Yeah, that's crazy that it's. So, is it good or is it not good?
Honestly, my wife hates movies that don't resolve the questions that they raise. This one raises a lot of questions early on, and then you're like, okay, where are we going with this? And the answer is nowhere. Okay. All right.
So is it pretty artsy then? Because it got an 82% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's pretty artsy. It's one of those like indie movies that people who really love movies, they always go gaga for, but they don't really have a point or a message that they're trying to tell, or you have to really like dig and really think about what it is.
It's all about the art, man, and you gotta like through here.
And then they asked, Entertainment Weekly asked the director what it was about, and he's like, anybody's interpretation of this is equally valid.
Oh, cop out, man.
All right, we got Scott. It's just salad. It's just film salad. You've heard of word salad. This is just film salad.
I call those
all kinds of things.
I call those kind of movie dartboard movies because they just took darts and just started throwing them against the wall and hitting certain storyboard marks.
Yeah,
and that's what made it into the movie.
Like it starts out as just kind of like really claustrophobic because there's this really long scene in a car, and then they get to a farmhouse and it's like dead. Everything's dead and dying, and it's really snowy. And then they go inside, and Jesse Plemons' character tells the girlfriend, "That's the basement. Don't go in the basement." It's this really scary, gnarly looking door. It's like, don't ever go in the basement. And she's like, "Well, what'll happen?" He's like, "Oh, it's just like a laundry room." And then, like, she goes to the basement and she opens the door, and it's like, oh man, is this about to get real? And she goes down there, and it's just like a laundry room. It's just a laundry room. Like, oh, okay. So what kind of movie am I watching? Like, what is it? Scary? Is it dramatic? Is it funny? Well, joke's on me. Joke's on me. I don't know.
Now I want to watch it. Like, Sam has told us the whole premise of this movie, and now I need to go watch it.
Well, I mean, makes me more interested now as well, man.
If you want to go see a movie that'll just break in a musical number, I saw a movie this last week that I laughed my butt off. It's on Hulu. It's called The Binge, and it's essentially The Purge, but having to do with drugs. So all drugs and alcohol have been made illegal in all of the U.S., and for one night a year, they get to binge on drugs and alcohol for one night. And it follows a group of 3 kids. It's their 18th birthday, so it's his first time, or it's their 18th year. It's their first time that they get to be a part of the binge, and Vince Vaughn is in it. And in one section in the middle, it breaks out into a musical number, dude. And I was laughing. The musical number is all about tripping balls. That's all it's about. And I was laughing my butt off, dude. It reminds me of every other Seth Rogen movie I've ever seen. But it's not Seth Rogen. He's not involved with it whatsoever. But it does have the really likable kid from Santa Clarita Diet. You guys know which one I'm talking about? The one that's like fawning over the girl all the time. And then, you've never seen Santa Clarita Diet?
Dude, it's so good.
Yeah, you need to watch it, dude. It's good. Although they canceled it and it just ends, so that's infuriating. But
Sorry,
the Santa Clarita Diet, because Sam didn't watch it. Sam gets a letter from Netflix every month saying, "Hey, Sam, which show should we cancel?" That's why Sam has done me a solid and ensures that Lucifer keeps coming back for me. But he did not
for freaking Santa Clarita Diet. Get out of here! Are you also responsible for Altered Carbon?
Yeah.
No amount of great.
I'll tell you why.
Will make you better.
Matt! I will tell you why. One, Timothy Oliphant. He has to go.
Dude, he's the best part.
No, he's gone. Second.
Why? Because he was a bad hitman?
Yes. Second, Altered Carbon. Too many dicks in that show.
I don't remember.
Way too many dicks
Sam,
in that show,
it's all about equal representation. Need I show you the many shows on Netflix that are just full of tits and boobs?
I'm sorry, but I like what I like, and I don't like dick.
No, Altered Carbon. Okay, the first season was awesome. I watched one episode of the second season. I'm like, nope, and turned it off. That's why it got canceled.
Okay, to be fair, season 2 was not nearly as good, but I don't think it was bad. It just wasn't nearly as good.
Yeah, it just wasn't. They changed too much of it, and I don't like when shows change things. Speaking of changing, and we're kind of getting in the Faber Flub territory here right now. Did you guys see Anna Faris announced yesterday she's leaving Mom and they're continuing the show without her?
It's fine.
She's
cool.
the main character. So I didn't realize that. I didn't realize it's one of the top.
Really good.
It's one of the top shows on network television. Like, I didn't realize that it had such a huge following. It ranks 30. So they have like Nielsen ratings or whatever that take all the shows that are out right now releasing new content. It's number 38 out of every single show. And it's won like awards and stuff, but yeah, she's leaving. So
all right, well, let's just talk about who's in this show, and you'll figure out they don't really need Anna Faris to carry it, because you got Allison Janney,
who's
you've
amazing.
got Jamie Presley, you've got Kristen Johnson, Saturday Night Live alum. Let's see, you've got Kathleen Turner's in it. Beverly D'Angelo has been in it. Like, they have just a huge list of power hitters come on this show. Anna Faris was a big, important part of it for sure, but it's not like they can't carry on without her. They have a huge cast of really talented actresses that they could do this with.
But the whole premise of the show was Allison Janney and Anna Faris.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And we saw, so this is a Chuck Lorre show, and Chuck Lorre just consistently comes out with big hits. He's 2.5 Men, Big Bang Theory.
Yeah,
like,
and you
Chuck
thought 2.5 Men couldn't survive Charlie Sheen's departure, but it did just fine.
Well, it lasted 2 seasons, got canceled.
Well, they wanted to cancel it. They didn't want to keep going.
Yeah, I've never heard of the show, so I don't care.
Mom? Oh, it's won Emmys, and it's actually not a bad show. But I'm
sure it's fine. I don't follow much network television anymore.
It's kind of like in the same vein as like a Roseanne, where you've got kind of just female driven, a lot of like poor class of people trying to figure out their problems. There's a lot of drug addiction, a lot of alcoholism. Most of their friends meet at AA, and then they go off and have drinks after. But
it's not a bad show, but Allison Janney is enough to watch it. Like, Allison Janney, just anything. I don't know if you're familiar with her, Max, but anything that she's in is just phenomenal. I'm trying to think.
She was in that Bad Education with Hugh Jackman that came out on HBO recently.
Right. She's a multi-award winner for a lot of different things that she's come out with. I mean, she was in The Help, and she's just she's a really good actress.
If it's the person I'm thinking of, She was in that movie Tallulah, and I really liked her in that.
Yeah.
But I might be thinking of the wrong person. Yeah, that's funny. This show's been on the air for a long time. I have never heard of this until right now.
Well, the issue is that CBS, in order to watch their shows after the fact, so if you don't have cable TV or network television, then you have to have CBS All Access. Yeah. And their CBS All Access app, they give you a free trial, but it really doesn't offer you any reason to continually pay for it. So there's been a lot of shows that CBS has announced that I've wanted to watch that kind of just never get consumed because they don't make their shows accessible. That's starting to change a little bit. Like Young Sheldon was just picked up by HBO Max and Big Bang's on HBO Max now and stuff. So HBO Max is picking up some of these things, but CBS just doesn't make their shows accessible like the other networks.
Well, most of their audience is older, and most of their shows are consumed by older demographic, and that's really who they cater to. And the older demographic doesn't spend as much time on streaming services. So it's not like they are pressured to make their shows really accessible. Most of the folks, I mean, my in-laws watch CBS way more than I ever have.
I think CBS, if I'm not mistaken, I think CBS, if I'm not mistaken, is the number one viewed network.
Yeah, but
because it shows like NCIS and Criminal Minds and all that other stuff.
Police procedurals are very popular.
Let's be real here, though. The younger generation, so us and younger, have ditched cable for the most part. So we're not watching anything on network television anymore. So it doesn't surprise me if the network that's more catered towards the older generation gets more views. Because that's just all cable.
When you get old and you get put in you're going to your retirement home and you're sitting in your retirement community, who picks the channel? Is it you or is it the nurse?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Is the nurse going to sit there and rifle through Netflix, or just going to pop it on CBS and say,
"Oh yeah,
sayonara"? But it is a missing revenue stream that CBS. I mean, CBS could license all these shows to Netflix or Hulu and make a ton of money.
I'm sure that they have thought about that and they think that they're making more money this way. Anyway, should we get into the movie?
Yeah,
yes, let's get into the movie.
A lot to digest.
So we all saw Tenet. Max and I saw it together with his brother and our friend Ben. Sam, have you seen it once, twice? When did you see it?
My wife on Monday night. Monday.
And man, I wish I could have seen it twice. I needed a second viewing.
Yeah, I tried to convince my wife to go see it last night. She goes, "Why would I go see that movie when you told me you have no idea what happened? You just want me to be confused with you, so we're not going to see it."
Yeah, it's now my favorite movie whose title is a palindrome.
Does anybody know what the heck happened?
Yeah, dude.
Sam does. That's why he gave it such a high score.
I understood.
I don't know how to score this movie.
I understood 50% of it, maybe 60. But it's got to be the coolest action movie I've ever seen, though.
Here's the really bummer part of the movie is that it's really difficult to decipher the dialogue. Even when they're not talking about kind of dense mumbo jumbo regarding the device or the time travel aspect of it. It's really hard to hear because one, the actors have thick accents. There's an accent from like every English speaking country plus a Russian accent. Two, a lot of times they're wearing masks and they're talking while they're wearing masks, and the sound is garbled by the mask. And three, you have the dialogue is competing in the sound mixing with the sound effects and the score. So they're all like really close to the same level in the sound mixing.
But Christopher Nolan has a history of doing this.
Yeah, well, it's just really tough to hear the dialogue. That's the only complaint I really had of it. but I really thought the visual aspect and the story itself were really, really cool. The characters, not really a lot to the characters, honestly. The main guy doesn't even have a name. They call him the protagonist.
Hated that.
And
he doesn't have a name?
No, he's the protagonist.
The protagonist.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even catch that.
I had. I didn't get to know the guy. Usually Christopher Nolan lets you get to know his characters. And I didn't get to know the protagonist at all. Like I liked him. He was a cool character, and he proves that we could easily have a Black James Bond and it would be freaking badass. But I don't know him. And usually Christopher Nolan lets me get to know his characters. And so that was a really big disappointment for me. And to a degree I get it, because like he's dead to the world, and so maybe it was symbolic in nature to not give him a name and have them not tell anybody his name because he's dead. I mean, he's not, but like to the world he is. But I didn't like that. Like I didn't get to know the guy, didn't even have a name. All I can, I don't know. I didn't like that aspect of it. But that's probably one of my bigger complaints of the movie. So if that's the only thing I'm going to complain about,
I didn't feel the need to get to know him because I didn't even realize he didn't have a name.
Yeah, the movie doesn't give you a chance to care. It is true.
I'm gonna side. I think there's so much to understand that there really isn't a whole lot of room for character development. There's just a little bit, and the character development that we see is basically, oh, so that's how it works, and that's about it. It's just people like figuring out, oh, okay, now I get how this works. And that's, I mean, that as far as the protagonist goes, that's about all he did. Like, he just tried to figure out what was going on. He's just coming up with the plans during the show. And the reason is because I feel like they would detract from the real story here, which is I felt like the protagonist was a stand-in for Christopher Nolan as he explains all the crazy stuff he wants to do on the screen. And Neil, played by Robert Pattinson, is just his wife, who's his producer, going, okay, well, we're going to need a bigger budget. And it's just him explaining the stunts that they're going to do. Okay, so for this first part, we're going to do a stunt where we break into this opera house and boom, 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 boom. And Neil's just gone, okay, yeah, okay, I think I can get the money for that.
He's like, make sure one of them's a fire truck. Oh, yeah, that's going to cost a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Get a plane to crash.
We got to fly a plane into a building to break into it. He's like, oh, no, I never said fly.
Yeah. It's like, okay, here's the deal. I need a plane that we can crash into a building and blow it to pieces. And she's like,
oh, not only that, this plane is going to carry millions and millions and millions of dollars of gold bars.
Yeah, give me the gold bars, too. I need a bunch of gold bars.
So we're just going to push out the back of this plane.
And they're just going to clink all over the tarmac. Just like all the money this movie's going to give me. It's just going to clink all over my driveway.
It sounds like every time I come to my wife and I say, hey, Anna, we need to remodel the backyard.
Yeah. When it comes to characters, don't get too hung up because it's really just Christopher Nolan talking to his wife about the stunts.
And so Christopher Nolan essentially thinks he's the hero.
Well, of this story, he certainly
making.
He said he spent 5 years writing the script for this, writing the screenplay for this. And honestly, like, it is mind-blowing. The stunts that they pull off are fantastic, and the time travel elements are very tight. And we were talking about Bill and Ted's last week, but it's very similar to the first Bill and Ted's, the way that the timey-wimey stuff all lines up. And honestly, the interstitial part of the movie where they're just kind of between action set pieces, it just, to me, I was like, this just sounds like Christopher Nolan pitching the next stunt. That's all it is. So
Dude,
I really thought it was fun.
The scene, and we're getting to full spoiler territory, right? The scene in the beginning, the fight scene between the protagonist against himself, right? You don't really know it's the person he's fighting is the protagonist, but it's one going backwards in time and the other one going forwards in time. That whole scene of them fighting each other was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in a movie ever. I almost wish they would do this in John Wick, because John Wick would probably do it even better. But it was awesome. Like when I don't know, I'm still trying to figure out how they did it. Like, is it just really well choreographed where one of the guys seems like he's going backwards in time? Like, I'm trying to figure out how they filmed this because it was masterful.
I think some shots are choreographed really well, and other shots were probably done in reverse as it was cut. That's what I'm guessing with some of them.
Yeah,
But
so
the one where you see him like crawling to the gun type of thing, I imagine what was happening is someone was like tugging him off screen, and he was like waving his arms, and then they played it in reverse. I don't know, maybe not, but
here's the way it looked to me, and you guys will tell me if you agree or disagree. But we'll have to wait for the director commentary to really know the truth. But it looked like in each of the shots of that particular fight scene, there was a guy who was dominating the fight and a guy who was kind of getting his butt kicked in the fight. And whoever was dominating, their time flow also dominated. And so if you had the forward time flow guy winning, then that was kind of the way that the stunt moved. Whereas if it was the backward flowing guy who was winning, they had to film the stunt and then play it in reverse on the screen. And so it was kind of this constant back and forth between the two of them. For example, like when he comes up and he catches the bullets in the gun, like that's clearly a backward flow dominant scene. And it has to be in order for that particular scene to work. Mm-hmm. And so they're filming the same scenes, probably backwards and forwards, and then playing them to see which one, and then stitching them together to make it seem cohesive. At least that's what I think they would do. And it's what it looked like to me.
Yeah, so it's really fascinating the way that the time travel in this works, because when I watched it, I didn't understand, and then I talked to Tyler, actually helped me to understand this better. Because Tyler actually showed up at the theater.
Oh no! Be careful, because Tyler just doesn't get time travel movies.
Stop.
What are you talking about?
Lance legit gets mad at Tyler anytime they talk about Endgame because Tyler doesn't agree with Lance.
He's the only person I've ever met that doesn't get it.
What are you talking about?
The Captain America scene at the end of Endgame. It drives me nuts listening to Tyler talk about it.
He thinks it should have created an alternate timeline. But from what I understood of the movie, they said that only an alternate timeline would be created if you don't return an Infinity Stone. And Cap returns all the Infinity Stones, which is why there's no alternate timeline. But I guess earlier in the movie, Hulk says something, or Banner, Hulk, whatever, Professor Hulk says something to the effect of, if you went back in time and just killed Hitler, that would create a splinter in time. And
but it's disproven he learns more when he's standing on the rooftop. This is what I tried to explain to him.
Yeah. Anyways, that is irrelevant. You're just teasing Tyler vicariously here through me. No, so I didn't really understand at first that when obviously the first time we see that scene in particular with the fight, we're seeing the protagonist from his perspective going forward in time. Well, then later on, it's playing it's playing in reverse for the other guy, but that's because when you are inversed, time flows forward to you in your mind, but to anybody else who's in regular time, it's perceived as happening from the backwards to the front. I just found it really fascinating, and I don't even know if I explained that well enough right now, but I just found it really interesting that for the protagonist that went back in time, he was experiencing the fight from the original protagonist's end to the beginning.
It's essentially like you take two of your hands, like this one's the one that's going backwards, this one's one that's going forward, and they're crossing like this. And at this point is where we're seeing them. They're meeting and then they're passing, right?
But You got to remember, Lance, in that one scene, there were actually three protagonists in the same room.
That's true.
There were two going forward in time and one going backward in time.
I don't understand. Where's the third one?
That was the one that Neil saw. The one that Neil saw was another version of the protagonist.
There were three of the same character in the same room.
I gotta watch this movie again, dude.
That
wasn't the same one,
dude.
There were three of them.
Yeah, because Neil sees one, right? But that wasn't the one that the other one was fighting.
It's the same. It's all the same guy. Remember, he's in the same
No,
suit.
I realize it's all the same guy, but for the sake of the scene, split them apart for me.
So, okay, let's start from that scene and move forward.
Okay.
You have the protagonist in his regular suit, right? In his regular suit, not in his battle gear, but just in his regular suit. And he goes forward to a point where he sees the girl get shot at the turnstile. Remember that?
Uh-huh.
And then he goes through the turnstile, and now he's backward. Right?
Yeah.
Now he's backward flowing. And he flows backward to the same point.
Oh, and gets in the other turnstile.
And then he gets back in the turnstile and goes
forward. So that's the third.
Yeah.
And then that's the one that runs past Neil and gets his helmet torn off.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong.
I got it.
But essentially, at the moment he goes into the turnstile, one protagonist is essentially leaving, whereas another is coming back through. But to the first protagonist, it looks like two are coming through.
Right.
Yes. Because that window is showing them
so mind-bending.
Time.
Frick, man. You think Inception and Interstellar are nuts. Sam and I were talking about how freaking Inception is like kindergarten, Interstellar is like third grade, and then all of a sudden you get Tenet and it's grad school.
Yeah, it's grad school.
Which makes me wonder, what the hell is he going to do next?
I'm hoping he dumbs it down next time. Give me some high school, okay?
Oh, here's the deal. Like this, I love this kind of thing. Like, have you ever seen a movie like this ever?
No. And I love it.
It's brand new. It blows your mind because you're like, I never thought something like this was even possible. I never would have thought like something like this.
He's visionary. I mean, the stuff he's coming out with, like, we're seeing a lot of the same stuff rehashed over and over again. That's why Christopher Nolan movies are so they're so refreshing, is because it's you know that you're going to go in and see something new. Even if it's a bad movie, it's still going to be an original idea, right? I mean, even his Batman movies were different in a sense of what we saw in other Batman movies, right? There's not many filmmakers that are like that out right now.
Christopher Nolan is the most talented director I think that's out there. He's absolutely incredible. This movie went over my head, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means I'm going to need to watch it again and again.
And the point I was driving at is, now that once the audience finally digests this, like you love Interstellar, right? But it probably took a couple viewings to like really digest it and really feel comfortable with.
Yes, but I walked out of the theater. I walked out of the theater loving it. I walked out of the theater thinking, what the hell did I just watch for Tenet? Now, as I'm thinking about it, I'm liking it more. As we're discussing it, I'm liking it more.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Like he's bringing his audiences up to his level.
Yeah.
Right? He's not going to hold your hand. He's not going to coddle you. He's going to bring you up to his level and show you the possibilities with movies as a medium. And I think that's a big reason why he's pushing for his movies to be shown in IMAX, to be shown in theaters generally, to shoot in these kind of grand scale aspect ratios and these really powerful sound systems, because he wants people to see movies how he sees them, right? And that's something it takes a lot of trust in your audience, right? To say, I'm going to make the movie that I want to see, and you guys are going to love it, but you have to trust me on this.
That's true.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. But there's a difference because Interstellar, and it might just be the theme that surrounded Interstellar, I wasn't that interested into giving it another viewing. This movie, I'm much more interested in watching it again.
Oh man, every time I watch Interstellar, I get something new out of it. I love that
Yeah,
movie.
I wasn't a fan of Interstellar the first time I watched it. And it wasn't because it was confusing or anything. It's just, I don't know, it might have been too artsy for me. And then normally I like artsy movies, but this movie had a lot more action. There was more to keep me entertained throughout the whole movie rather than trying to diagnose what was happening. Interstellar, the whole movie, you're just trying to diagnose what's happening. Whereas Tenet had these really like awesome action scenes that remind me of John Wick action scenes. You know what I mean?
And I don't agree. I the reason I like Interstellar so much is because I didn't feel like until the end that I was just trying to decipher what was happening. And that I got to actually know people and there was emotion involved. Inception and Interstellar both like left me emotionally invested in the characters, whereas Tenet left me no emotional investment at all. I could neither care, I couldn't care less what happens to them really. Doesn't make it a bad movie. It's just a different take on characters than Nolan usually does. But Tenet, I was confused the entire time because the entire time I was just trying to figure out what the heck I was watching. Interstellar, there were just moments I didn't understand what I was watching. Same with Inception.
Yeah, I think Inception, similarly, it's like Christopher Nolan pitching these stunts to his crew, right? Cobb is basically Christopher Nolan. He's a stand-in for Christopher Nolan pitching the stunts to his crew, and it's basically the movie of him explaining how the whole movie is going to work once they finally get into the dream state. And the audience is just kind of along for the ride, just like listening to Leonardo DiCaprio pretend to be Christopher Nolan. And it's cool. It's like he's saying, look, don't worry about the story. Don't worry about the characters. I'm going to show you some really cool stuff. And you're going to flip when you see this stuff, how it all works out. It's going to be great. And you just have to trust me. But in Tenet, he really dives even more into that kind of idea of a movie where it's not about the characters. It's about this really cool stuff I'm going to show you. Because you can't even hear what the characters are saying, honestly. It's a 50-50. You're going to understand what they say the first time around.
I can't wait for this movie to come out to where I can turn on the subtitles.
Yeah, it is really tough to hear them, but you don't really have to hear them to really enjoy the movie because the spectacle is so bonkers, right? It's just so crazy.
Well, and sometimes even though you don't understand what's being said, you start to understand, what's happening. So for instance, when you have the Russian character behind the glass, and I see his mouth moving, but then I don't hear words for like another few seconds. Like it's on a delay. I'm like, that's weird. Is the movie lagged? And then you start to realize, it's because on that side of the window, he's speaking in reverse, and it's having to translate it over the loudspeaker so that you can understand it in your time. It's just such a cool concept. But I didn't understand what was being said.
Yeah, even if you hear what they're saying, it doesn't mean you're going to understand the conversation because the conversation itself is out of order.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't understand it until I think I didn't understand what they were talking about. Because not only is one of the guys speaking backwards and then it's being reordered so that it's forwards, but the order of the sentences is misaligned.
Well, the conversation is starting from the back for the Russian who's speaking in reverse. Like he's starting at the end of the conversation.
I don't think until we get the Blu-ray, DVD, and line up all the sentences, are we really going to understand what the heck they were saying at that particular point? Sure. Not that it makes a whole lot of difference. There was another thing that I was like, wait, what? And that is at the very end, and this is very spoilery, but Kenneth Branagh plays the Russian guy who's basically the Bond villain.
Yeah.
Of this movie. It's very Bondy, very James Bond. I've got this plan to destroy the world, and it involves kicking some things backward in time. And and that includes myself. I'm going to go backwards in time. And the whole story takes place over the course of about 2 weeks. And there's a story that is told by a female character early on who is married to Kenneth Branagh's Russian character.
Yeah.
And she explains it a certain way. And then you see kind of the whole scene play out again in real time. But now you understand that the characters have advanced ahead in the timeline by 2 weeks. And so their understanding of that moment is much different. And what I didn't realize was that the Kenneth Branagh who's on that boat was the last Kenneth Branagh in his personal timeline until he gets, takes some bullets to the chest, and then you're like, oh, okay, so that was not the one from 2 weeks ago. That's the one from 2 weeks ahead.
Yeah, well, that's the one that shot his wife. That's the one who was aware of that event.
Yeah, it was
right.
it was post Turnstile.
Yeah. Yeah, which is because he killed himself previously, right? Isn't that why there wasn't two versions of himself in that moment?
No, well, he couldn't have killed himself.
He didn't kill himself.
No, okay. Then why wasn't there a prior version of the character?
Well, because it all goes like this. Like, that's the question I had. Like, no,
yeah,
essentially Sam makes sense about.
The second viewing is about going to be following Kenneth Branagh's character through this timeline because he's the hardest one to keep track of.
But it's a constant thread.
Well, yeah, but he's the last character they introduce, and you don't really get a good sense of which direction he's going when he's on the screen. Like, I feel like there's a couple times where you're like, okay, which one am I looking at? And it's not
or the future,
or well, the forward flow or the backward flow, and it's
the
not
backward flow. You can always tell because he's wearing a mask, right?
It's not exactly clear.
Yeah, because that's not true because he could have gone backwards in time and done another turnstile and then relived the past without a mask. That's why it's confusing. And that is something I did not understand at first. And it was giving me a lot of holdups as I'm watching this. I'm like, why isn't he wearing a mask? He's in the past. How is he not wearing a mask? Because I didn't understand the concept of going back through the turnstile to be able to breathe normally again. It's a freaking crazy movie, man.
It is pretty long.
And that's not a bad thing. That's not a knock. And I'm glad we're talking because honestly, Sam, you were helping me understand this so much more than I did on my first viewing. And my score is now rising from what I was going to give it. Because I was going to give it I don't know. Out of 5.
How do you rise from a I don't know?
That's no score.
That's no score.
That's 0 essentially.
Sam gives this movie an incomplete.
I don't. That's Max. Max gives it incomplete.
Oh, Max. I meant Max. Sorry. Max.
Well, I'm going to try to score it from beginning to end and then from end to beginning. So you'll figure out my score in a few weeks when I come back to time and tell you.
2 weeks time when you've gone through the turnstile a couple times.
So I was going to invite you guys to go see it at Dolby Cinema tonight, and
turns out the last showing at Dolby Cinema sold out. Frack. Yeah, I would have loved to have done that.
It's essentially starting right now, anyway. So, but yeah, I need to go see it again, but I don't know if I want to go see it again in the theater. If maybe I just want to wait until it's.
Look, you guys are going to go see. You guys are seeing it again eventually, and you should see it in the theater. But when you watch it the second time, I want you to keep in mind that the protagonist is Christopher Nolan and Neil is his wife. If you watch it like that, you'll be like, "This is hilarious."
Okay, so speaking of Neil, I did love that you've come to find out at the end that Neil and the protagonist have been friends for years. But that because of the events of time, Neil is just now ending his journey, whereas the protagonist is really just now beginning his. I thought that was really cool. I liked that.
The original meeting of Neil and the protagonist was when the protagonist was an old man, which I'm trying to figure out. So when they go back in time, they're living that reversal in time in real time, but in reverse, right? So if you need to go back 30 years, you need to stay in this turnstile thing for 30 years, right? It's not sped up or anything like that, right? They're both traveling at the same speed.
Right.
The one is reversed. So when he met him as an old man, that means at some point the protagonist had to go through a turnstile and retrace back in time for like 30 years, right? So he lived in reverse for like 30 years.
Well, not necessarily, but probably. Like, they don't really go into too far depth of how long it took for him to set up Tenet, or that's what I'm calling the organization. We don't know how long it took him to set that all up, but he apparently met Neil and recruited him a long time ago.
So this is the kind of movie that I think would really benefit from having a sequel. One of Christopher Nolan's movies. That Inception is a movie that I like the open-endedness of it. That it's great as a standalone. I don't need to see another installment of that ever. But this movie, I feel like, could be a potential like trilogy for the most part. Do you guys feel that way?
This is one of the few that I think a sequel would be okay. I don't think we're going to get that because that's not Nolan's way. But like, you look at a movie like The Prestige, there's no need for a sequel. Interstellar, no need. Inception, no need. But Tenet, yeah, I think Tenet could warrant a sequel, but it's not going to happen because Nolan, other than The Dark Knight, doesn't do that.
Money talks, dude.
Yeah, but money. He made plenty of money on those other movies, and he still moved on to do a new one.
Yeah, but those ones, I think would have suffered by having a sequel. I don't think this one would. I think David Washington, is that his name?
Yeah.
I think that he could be the next big action star.
He could be, but I think Nolan has this thing where he wants to show you something new, like really new in each movie. And if you already know Tenet, then when you go into the sequel, there's not as much new. He's showing you something crazy, but you're more familiar with it now. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where he goes from here, though. But he seems to take a break from the crazy ones, it seems, because he did Inception, Interstellar, and then he did Dunkirk.
Dunkirk is a timey-wimey movie, too.
Not really.
Yeah.
Well, it's showing how many different stories all happening. So it's showing somebody's story from like a day, somebody's story from like a week, right?
An hour.
Yeah. He's showing, but it's not like Tenet or anything like that.
It's not as hard to follow.
It's like the Witcher show. They don't tell you that you're experiencing different timelines, but you are. That's not that big of a deal compared to trying to figure out that the
man. I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, really? Well, just be glad
the king of don't spoil things for me.
No,
just
this isn't it's not a spoiler. That's not a spoiler. They think that you as an audience understands this, but they didn't make it clear at all. The Witcher takes place like hundreds of years apart. There's scenes that take place like 300 years before other scenes, but because the characters don't age, you don't know that.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
Just be aware of that when you do eventually watch it. But to me, that's what Dunkirk was, like it just had different I don't know. Dunkirk to me wasn't timey-wimey. It was still artsy, and it was really good, but it was a lot simpler to understand.
That you have all of these. You have these three different timelines. They all converge at the exact same point. And so he's like, let's set off this row of dominoes a week ago. Let's set off the next row of dominoes a day, and then the last row of dominoes an hour, and have them all converge. All three of them converge at the same point. And that's the timey-wimey part of it. All of his movies that he's written all have that same timey-wimey element to them. He just is,
except for the Batman movies.
Well, right. I'm talking about the ones. Yeah. Aside from the Dark Knight trilogy, you have Memento, you have Prestige, you have
Insomnia. Insomnia is definitely to a lesser extent, but it's all about the sun never going down and not understanding what time of day it is because he's in Alaska. There's some degree of like time. He definitely likes to use time. Christopher Nolan is the time stone.
Time is his muse.
Yeah, this movie definitely deserves another watch, and I think if you go by Sam's rating of cushions, I'm assuming that he's going to give this a pretty high rating because of its necessity to be rewatched. Am I right?
Not for the necessity. I feel compelled to watch it again, not because of things I didn't understand, but because this is something new, and my mind needs to just take it in all over again, take in the spectacle one more time. There was a scene early on, and I was like, oh, I hope we get to see that one in reverse later on. And we didn't, so I want to see it again the first time. And it takes place in the Opera House right at the beginning. And I
don't understand where that fits into the story.
Yeah, and that's something I need to see again. And it's just not because I didn't understand it, but just because I want to put it all together. I just think it's so fantastic.
Well, I missed the first 5 minutes of the movie during that opera scene because the stupid popcorn guy and I were in an argument. But
I'm laughing, but that was pretty frustrating.
Oh, that's
Speaking of the opera scene, it wasn't just the opera scene, but that movie starts off as the loudest movie I've ever seen in theaters, and it continues that trend in many moments. Like, it's not very common that I go to the theaters and I'm like, "Can you turn it down a little?" And I almost wanted them to turn it down. It was that loud. That's also a Nolan thing. I've noticed the way he mixes his movies. He likes them to be quite loud. Like my new house that I'm in is fairly soundproof. My wife doesn't sleep super well through noise, and so I've always struggled because I stay up later than her watching movies, playing video games, and I've always had to keep the volume really low so I don't wake her up. Well, at this house, I'm actually able to keep the volume of my surround sound up at a pretty decent volume without waking her for most things. But I throw in a movie like Interstellar or Inception, she can't sleep at the same volume that I can do most movies at, because Nolan just loves to mix his movies really loud. Not a bad thing, just an observation I've been making, that he goes from like whisper quiet to I'm going to blow up a mountain. You know, it's just crazy like that. But I love
he's the artsy version. He's the artsy version of Michael Bay.
Dude, don't even say that.
Michael Bay relies on explosions to tell a story. Christopher Nolan relies on loud noises and time to confuse you.
He usually relies on Hans Zimmer, but this time he decided to hire somebody else for his score and was like, "Hey, can you just like make it sound like Hans Zimmer did this?" Because that's exactly what happened.
Well, Hans Zimmer was busy. He would have had Hans Zimmer do it, but he was busy.
What was he busy with?
He's doing Dune.
Oh yeah, that's a movie I'm excited for.
Yeah, I looked that up. I was like, why didn't Zimmer do it? And Zimmer was like, I really wanted to, but I could not pass up Dune. I guess he's a Dune fan. He wanted
Dune's going to be a big movie.
Yeah, it is. I'm excited. Later this year.
Yeah, it's going to be a really big movie. Yeah, I've noticed before Sam said something. I didn't realize this, but my week has been pretty heavily has heavily consisted of time travel movies and TV. I started watching Dark, Sam.
Yeah, good luck with that, man.
I'm in the second season right now. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah. But Bill and Ted, Dark, Tenet, all having a heavily time storylines and stuff like that. Like time travel to me is just.
You could add Looper. You could add 12 Monkeys.
Yeah.
There's a ton of time travel movies out there. And one of the things I wanted to talk about was the way that time travel is handled in various movies and the way it was handled in Tenet. And it's a way that I really enjoyed in Tenet. And I think this is probably why it took them a long time, is the cause and effect part of the time travel is very difficult to weave, especially if you're going to do time travel like you do in Bill and Ted's and like Tenet, where the flow of time doesn't disrupt cause and effect, or the disjointed flow of time doesn't disrupt cause and effect. The deterministic style of time travel is very tough to write. Bill and Ted's, I don't think gets enough credit for being as good as it is, as well written as it is.
Yeah.
Tenet, same way. And then you look at movies like Back to the Future, where it's like, you know what? We'll do. It's all one timeline, but it self-corrects anytime there's a break in cause and effect, so that if somebody goes back to the past and changes something, they get erased from existence. So it's like a self-correcting, but it's a single timeline. And then you have movies like Avengers Endgame, where they say, no, you're splintering the timeline. And in order to, you can't switch from one splinter to another. Right? So if you go to the future, you change the past and then you go to the future, you go to the changed future. You can't switch over to another future at that point. You can't change tracks. You have to stay in the track you're on. In order to change tracks, you'd have to go back and set things the way that they were supposed to go, and then get set back on the right track
By replacing the stone.
Right. In Dragon Ball Z, though, you can splinter off timelines, but whatever timeline you're originated from, you always go back to that timeline. And that comes up with Trunks, future Trunks, going back to the past to save Goku from a heart disease. But when he goes back to the future, he goes back to the same future where the androids have killed everybody. And in order for him to go back to see Goku, he has to go to another timeline that he's not from. So there's all these different ways that you can deal with time travel. I know Minute Physics did a breakdown of all the different types of time travel they've seen in movies. Minute Physics is a YouTube channel. Just explains all different little physics topics or science topics. The time travel one was pretty cool. He draws these little diagrams and it shows all these little loops that symbolize all the time travel. So it's fascinating to me as a movie buff to see how time travel is handled in all these different film franchises. But,
well, Dark does it very uniquely too. It's like everything that's going to happen is going to happen, and the people going back in time are the reason that the future is what it is. Like, it's all going to happen regardless, right?
It starts out Bill and Ted. Then it goes to like a hybrid of Bill and Ted and Dragon Ball Z. And then it goes to basically Back to the Future.
All right. Well, I think I'm the second episode of the second season. My wife and I have both been really into it. So don't spoil anything for me. One of these days we'll have to do
I'm just telling you, they changed the time travel mechanic from season to season.
Is it frustrating that they do that?
That's probably the least frustrating thing about it for me. There's so many characters, and keeping up with who is who in the future and the past is probably the trickiest part.
Yeah. Well, so far, like there's been a couple times Anna's like, what's that person doing? I was like, no, that person is this person. So like, I haven't had issue with that so far, like helping her understand who's who. She has lost it a couple times. Like, I don't want to get into spoilers because from what I've seen, but the time travel thing is just a unique storyline to operate on. And the thing with Endgame, there's a lot of theories. So like, I know Tyler has a hard time with old Captain America, but there's a lot of theories that says that old Captain America was there the whole time. There's a funeral scene where there's an old man in the back. Peggy talks about being married to somebody. There's a rumor that she is talking about Steve, who lived through that whole timeline with his name changed. He was just always there. But I think for general audiences, it might be a little frustrating. Did you know that, Max?
Yeah, I've heard about that rumor.
That he was just always there?
Yeah. It's probably just like an Easter egg, though. Not like a...
Yeah.
I mean, it may or may not be true. I don't know.
What did you share here, Sam?
Oh, that's the Minute Physics.
Oh,
video.
I subscribed. I just subscribed to him.
You can just tag it in the description if you want to see it. But I think it's really fascinating.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch that. Do they do a whole episode on the on all the different movies time travel, or do they focus on one movie at a time?
No, they do a ton. And the thing about Minute Physics is the videos are short little bursts about different topics, so you don't really have to worry about the time investment. You're going to get an explanation about time travel in these different movies, and then you can move on to something else in like 3 to 5 minutes.
Fair enough.
Awesome.
Well,
let's give our ratings. We'll start with Max, since he's the one that's changed the most throughout this.
Well, maybe we should ask him if he's settled on a number yet.
Have you settled on?
I've settled on a number. But I do have a question first before we get into that. I just wanted to know, Lance, have you been using a turnstile to travel back in time? Because about 35 minutes ago, you posted on Facebook, and I don't know how you could be in two places at once.
Oh, my music? That's a video that I posted earlier today that was processing.
Oh, okay. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. And I didn't record that today. I recorded that on Friday. Because as you can see, I'm wearing a different colored shirt.
Well, hey, you can wear a different color shirt when you're traveling backwards in time. Maybe you were in a cool room and you're singing backwards and you just translated the video into frontwards. That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised, man. Those videos that I've been posting on my Facebook of me just singing some pretty famous songs have been getting a lot of plays.
People are looking for you to do 99 red balloons.
Meanwhile,
I would love to do 99 red balloons if it wasn't covered like a million times before.
I posted my version, and I don't think anyone even listened to it. But I didn't do mine as a video though, so that's probably the problem. Because I took videos will get more views. So I'm gonna have to figure something out.
Yeah, Max took the stare at the sun cover that I did and did some backup vocals on it. But he and I are gonna be coming out with a couple new ones. There's a couple ideas I floated to him.
Did it sound like Rachel McAdams and Will Ferrell singing the finale of Fire Saga?
No. Max and I played in a band together. I was very briefly in it, called Featuring Benson, and the name is derived from a mutual friend that Max and I have that always wanted to be in a band, but he didn't quite know how to play that well, so we just made every song featuring Benson.
Yeah, and we'd have him up on the stage, and it ended. By the time Lance joined, he wasn't doing it anymore, but we'd have him come up and just dance on the stage with
so every song was featuring Benson. So that was
talking,
that was short-lived for me, but Max and I have very good complementing voices to each other. So we've written a couple songs together, and there's a song I wrote for my wife that's on Apple Music.
You sing it to Max?
No, but
it's all to Max. Yeah, Max sings in it, and he plays a little bit of lead in it. And if you want to check that one out, it's on Apple Music under the Distress Signal. So it's called Anna's Song. But
so anyway, getting back to Tenet, I'm sorry I sidetracked us with a stupid joke. My wife has alerted me to the fact that I am getting more and more dad jokey as now I have a kid. I've always been dad jokey, but she says it's gotten severely worse.
No, now she's just realizing how much you annoy her. That's what happens after you have children. So before you have children, your wife and you are like, it's all about the two of you, right? And then you have kids, and your wife is like, becomes more and more increasingly annoyed by her husband. So get to 5 kids like I am, or Sam, you have how many?
7.
7. Yeah. it just increases after every kid.
Well, I'm never going to get to that amount. That's just not going to happen. But I'm going to give this movie a 4 out of 5. I was debating between giving it a 3.5 or a 4 until we started podcasting, and I'm realizing this is a very good movie. It probably deserves a 5 in my book. Inception and Interstellar are both 5s for me. They are masterpieces. But I think Tenet, currently, I'm just so I'm still confused enough that I can't quite give it a 5 because I don't understand it enough. But I imagine if we re-review this movie in a year, I would probably give it a 5 because there's a lot to digest. I do not like, though, that the main character has no personality really, and no backstory. I like seeing backstory and character development, and I thought that was a lacking thing for me in this, which is why I think a sequel would kind of be fun to see. It won't happen, but I'd like to get some character development. I loved Neil; thought he was freaking awesome. I thought that we didn't really talk about the woman very much, but like I thought her character was really cool and her arc, and how at the end of the movie, as she's going up to the boat, I was like, oh, she saw herself dive off. At first, I didn't realize that, but as she's going back up to the boat for the second time, I'm like, oh, her husband wasn't having an affair. She saw herself dive off the boat and just didn't realize it. But anyway, I thought her character was really cool, and the score, even though it wasn't Hans Zimmer, felt like it was Hans Zimmer, and it was really good. Sound mixing was loud as all get out, but it was great. The fact that we couldn't hear every word was kind of annoying, but I think you're right, Sam, and that was by design, and it's a good thing. And then the cinematography was freaking incredible. I would love to watch behind the scenes on how they did all of this. That end sequence when there's the two armies. Like, we really didn't dive into this movie that much, I'm realizing now. Where we're getting into the end of this movie, and you've got Team Blue and Team Red, and you're seeing their different perspectives at different times, and you see explosions coming into the ground. Then other times you see explosions coming out of the ground. You see a building collapse. Then you see a building reemerge. Like, it was just so much spectacle and so much fun to watch that even though I didn't know what was happening, I thought it was super cool to look at. So 4 out of 5 for all those reasons.
That's a scene. The one you just referenced was a scene that I forgot to talk about. That building. So that building is like, it gets blown up. It's on the ground, and then it gets reassembled and then blown up again. And I thought that was the coolest thing. Did you guys see that? It was like on the ground, it raises up, and then the reverse people blow it up. So it gets blown up again. So it went through like 3 different stages of being. I thought that was one of the coolest scenes ever.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Sam, what's your rating on this movie?
Yeah, I think maybe we should take a second, or I'll take a second to discuss all the different action set pieces that there were in this movie. So you have the opera scene, then you have the scaling of the building, then you have the airport, right? You have the airplane crashing scene, then you have the car chase, then you have airplane scene number 2. Then you have basically the battle scene at the end. Am I missing any?
I don't think so.
And the boat. I mean, but that's not really an action. That's not a big action.
The car chase scene?
Yeah, there's a car chase. I did mention that one. You've basically got 5 or 6 enormous action set pieces that take a lot of choreography, a lot of camera tricks, really, because there's a lot of backward and forward going on in each of these scenes. And it's so cool. It is so fun to watch. I was like giggling as I was watching it because I was like, I've never seen anything like this my whole life. And I've been waiting to see something like this my whole life. And it was so cool to see that kind of expertise in filmmaking and cinematography take center stage in a movie. And I thought the thing that really stood out for me with John David Washington is this guy really sprints around a scene. Like, he is so fast and he is really booking it. And I don't think I've seen anybody sprint like that in a movie since Mission Impossible. And the dude can run. But it was just so full of all these really incredible things to see. It was really kind of a bummer that I didn't hear what they were saying. But honestly, I didn't really need to hear what they were saying to get a grip on what I was watching. And because I didn't hear what they were saying, I did kind of create my own little headcanon that these are basically Christopher Nolan and his wife talking about how much these things are going to cost.
I think that.
But it was so fun. I had a great time. Can't wait to see it again. 4.5, four couch cushions and a throw pillow for me. 4.5 out of 5. It is so fantastic. I have been recommending it to all of my friends, to all my family, anybody who I know who's ever seen a movie. I think you should see this because it's very cool. And it like sets off fireworks in my brain about the kinds of movies that I might write as a result of having seen this movie. This is like just the tip of the iceberg about what's possible with film. And after seeing that, like, you might think, we've seen all the movies there are to see. And now I've seen this, I'm like, we haven't even begun. We haven't even scratched the surface.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Christopher Nolan is showing us the possibilities in storytelling that we just maybe haven't had the guts to do yet. And he's out here saying, look, this is what you can do. Do it. And just to think what we could be doing if we had braver storytellers, more creative storytellers. And so I'm just thrilled by this movie. It was exciting to watch. I can't wait to watch it again. If you haven't seen it, please see it. If you have seen it, see it again.
Yeah, in a world where almost everything we're watching is a sequel, a reboot based on a book, movies like Tenet are needed, and it is definitely a testament to the fact that there's a lot in filmmaking that can still be done. You have not seen everything. You haven't. And Christopher Nolan proves that.
So So this movie is some of the best action scenes I've seen. I'm not going to get too far into it because both of you have done that. My rating for it is a 4 out of 5. The reason I'm not giving it a 5 is specifically because of the issues that I consistently have with Christopher Nolan's movies, where you can't hear a lot of the dialogue. He did it in Dunkirk. He did it in The Dark Knight Rises. He did it in this movie. You can't understand what they're saying half the time. And I think a movie lives and breathes off dialogue, well-written dialogue. And for somebody to take 5 years to write this movie, and I'm not understanding 70% of what they're saying, 60% of what they're saying is something that's hard for me to swallow. My rating may go up once I see it in my home with subtitles on. And Max knows this. I'm hard of hearing anyways. So the dialogue not being above the sound effects is already a hard thing for me to hear anyways. And all my years of playing music and stuff, I just killed my ears. I watch nearly everything with subtitles on, right, Max?
Very unfortunate, yes. I hate it.
Yeah. I always have to have subtitles on because I'll miss things.
Hate it.
Huh?
I hate subtitles. I don't even put subtitles on the video games anymore. I used to because...
Wait. Hang on just a second. The reason you don't watch foreign films is because they have subtitles.
No, it has to have the language with... No, I watch some foreign films. Like, I love Pan's Labyrinth and stuff. It's just not usually one that I go towards, that I seek out. But Parasite was amazing. But the issue is that I can't always hear what they're saying. So sometimes I rely on the subtitles.
I got you.
I don't read the subtitles throughout the whole movie because a lot of time I'm looking at my phone hearing them. But if I miss something...
That's why I don't like subtitles. Is I get distracted and I just freaking read the subtitles. And then I don't see what's going on in the movie or the show.
No, I usually look at my phone anyways when I'm watching movies at my house.
You're not watching the movie, man. It's just background.
So, but yeah, I need subtitles because there's some points where, especially in really loud sequences, I can't hear what they're saying. So that's my issue with this movie, and Christopher Nolan's movies in general are like this. It's just there's too much sound effects and not enough focus on the voice. The Dark Knight Rises, he tried to fix that a little bit when what's his face
Tom Hardy.
Yeah, came in and redubbed all his lines. So I don't know if you guys knew that. So they released the trailer for Dark Knight Rises. Everybody was complaining they had no idea what he was saying. So he had Tom Hardy come back in and re-record all of his lines, and they played it over the top. And that I was grateful for, but it was still hard to hear. So, but some of the best action scenes I have ever seen in a movie. I love these directors that are trying to do new things and trying to give audiences something new instead of, Disney's the worst culprit of this, just rehashing the same old crap over and over again. And
see Mulan now on Disney Plus.
I know. And then Disney's like, hey, we're going to remake Mulan, a fan favorite, but we're not going to include any of the music, which is the only thing you guys remember from the original movie.
Eddie Murphy.
It's a little bummer.
Eddie Murphy, yeah.
Mulan music is awesome. Let's get down to business.
All I remember from that movie is it Mushu? Was Eddie Murphy?
Yeah.
Yeah. The dragon. There was a cricket at one point. A girl soldier becomes a boy soldier and then is a girl soldier again. And the music. And they got rid of 3 of those 4 things. There's no cricket. There's no and I don't know if it's because everybody's like The Lion King, they didn't change anything. The Lion King is the same exact thing as the original one, and people were upset about that, I guess.
You were.
But if you're, what?
You hated The Lion King.
I hated The Lion King because the music was done bad. They didn't change anything, and the casting was just bad. That movie had a lot more.
I feel like Disney can't win with these remakes because a lot of people, most people, are like, they just keep doing the exact same thing they did in the original one, and then they come out in Mulan, they're like, we hear you. We're going to be doing something totally different. You're not giving us enough of the same, Disney.
No, here's the thing, though. I thought Pete's Dragon was beautiful. I thought Dumbo was really good. And I thought Jungle Book was really good. Lion King sucked. Hands down. And Mulan, I don't have much hope for it either.
From what I've been seeing, it's getting good reviews. I liked Aladdin.
Yeah.
I liked Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast a lot.
And Aladdin I liked. And Aladdin I thought I was going to hate, and I liked Aladdin. Yeah. Because of Will Smith, I thought he did a better job than what people were expecting. So but that's besides the point. So in an age where we're just seeing the same rehashed crap over and over and over again, and movies that are brought 30 years after they had their curtain call, and they're coming out with soft reboots and sequels and all these things. It's just we live in an age where there's no originality in Hollywood, and Christopher Nolan is a breath of fresh air when it comes to that. He's coming out with original content, and you could probably argue that James Cameron might be in that same vein a little bit. I mean, his movies are pretty original as well, so there are some that exist. But I just want to see more new stuff. So this movie gets a solid 4 out of 5. That probably won't change on the rewatch for me, because my issues are not so much with the story and understanding the movie, but more so about how it was mixed, I guess. Would mix be the right word?
The sound mixing?
Mastered. Yeah, the sound mixing. Yeah, is my biggest issue with this movie. I don't have the same issue as Max as far as the protagonist not having a backstory, because that's essentially almost every James Bond movie we've had, and those are awesome. I mean, we don't know what James Bond was like as a child.
For sure.
So we don't know what John Wick was as a child, really. Like, I don't
know that he killed a bunch of people in a bar with a pencil.
Right. So I don't think that's always needed. I felt the I felt the connection to the character. I thought everybody did well. That if anything, this movie proved to me that Robert Pattinson is going to be an excellent Batman. And where I was definitely on the fence prior, even after watching the trailer, I was on the fence. But yeah, it's a good movie. We recommend it to everyone. Go watch it. If you're looking for an excuse to go to the movies, this is a good one.
Oh yeah,
theaters are open now.
Great reentry.
What's that?
Theaters.
Harkins are open. I don't know about AMC, but Harkins is open.
AMC opened on the 3rd. Yeah, at least here in Arizona, it opened on the 3rd. So, real quick, I want to just touch on a couple things that have happened. So, Batman had stalled their filming for a short period because Robert Pattinson came down with COVID. Now it looks like they've resumed filming, but Robert Pattinson is not included in that until he is done with his quarantine or healing or whatever. So it sounds like they're recording a bunch of they're taping a bunch of the
other cast.
Yeah.
The other cast and the other scenes and stuff.
Pattinson doesn't need to be there for maybe.
Yeah, so we want to express our get well soon wishes to Robert Pattinson. The other thing is, so Jack Reacher has found Amazon has found their Jack Reacher in Alan Ritchson. I don't know if you guys know Alan Ritchson.
Absolutely, man. He's hot.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Andy's in Titans.
Yeah, he is he's my favorite character in Titans. So I'm happy to see him in more stuff, so long as it doesn't take him out of Titans. Yeah, Hawk and Dove are the best part about Titans. Every scene that they're in, I can't stop watching.
Well, I don't know if you guys are Friday Night Light fans.
She is hot, if that's what you're about to say.
Yeah, I'll watch anything with her, dude.
she is a very
good actress. So please don't think I'm trying to distract from her.
Talking
about? Dove in Titans. She's
What's
also
her name?
It's probably bad that I don't know it, huh?
No, I didn't know the actor for Hawk until today. I didn't know his name. I still couldn't.
Oh yeah, I knew who he was.
I just know his face. I don't know his name.
Yeah, but she, her name escapes me. It's Minka Kelly. I knew it was something. It was something that was like Russian. Like Minka reminds me of a Russian name. So Minka Kelly is the actress. She was in Friday Night Lights, and she's just fantastic. The other thing is, I
also wanted to point out Alan Ritchson was a Ninja Turtle.
Yes, was he Mikey?
He was in Michael Bay's Ninja Turtles. I think he was Raphael.
Oh. Was he Raphael?
Yeah.
Nice.
Guess who else was a Ninja Turtle in Michael Bay's that a lot of people don't know? Johnny Knoxville did the voice of Leonardo in that movie, in the first one, and it was awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
Speaking of Johnny Knoxville, there's a movie that you guys should watch. We Summon the Darkness on Netflix. You guys heard of that one?
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
It is so weird and so awesome. Johnny Knoxville is in it for a brief moment. You guys should really watch that movie. But the other thing is,
before you move on, I just want to say really quickly, I love that Amazon is really starting to pick up some bangers, man. You know, they've got Jack Ryan, and now they're getting Jack Reacher. They got Lord of the Rings coming up. The Boys, The Man in the High Castle was really good. They have some real good shows. If you guys have not checked out anything on Amazon Prime, I'm talking to the listeners more now. I know both of you have. But you listeners, if you haven't watched anything on Prime, do yourself a favor and check out some of their original stuff because it is really good. It is really, really good.
Yeah, if you have not watched The Marvelous Miss Maisel, it's by far the best show that Amazon has ever released. The Marvelous Miss Maisel is just a classic show. I don't know if either of you two have watched it.
I have not yet.
Yeah, it's very good.
I've heard it's amazing.
It's so good. It more so has to do with the lead actress, Rachel something. She's from, I don't remember what she's in, but
House of Cards.
House of Cards, that's what it is. I was gonna say Home. What's that one that's on whatever? Doesn't matter. So Marvelous Miss Maisel is fantastic, dude. Tony Shalhoub is in it. He does a great job. Max, you need to watch that one.
Yeah, no, I want to. My wife started it and then stopped watching it, so I might have to see if she just wants to watch it together. We're watching Psych right now. I've never seen that show before, so I've been
Oh,
getting through.
Psych's great.
Yeah, it's really good.
The other thing is that apparently Agent Smith was going to return for Matrix 4, and now he's not.
Yeah, I saw that. That's too bad.
So the director, Lana Wachowski, said nope and pulled him from the movie. So I don't know what that has to do with. And the other thing is something I'm really excited about. So the Jungle Cruise with Emily Blunt and The Rock.
Yeah.
Guess who's doing the soundtrack?
Who?
Freaking Metallica, dude.
What?
Nice.
Metallica? Yeah. I hadn't heard that. Do we
Isn't
have an
that freaking awesome?
Do we have an update on the release date of that one, by the way?
I have no idea.
Okay.
All I know is Metallica's doing the score, and that's enough reason to watch it.
That's really cool. I'll watch pretty much anything with The Rock in it. I love that guy. He freaking bought the XFL. Did you guys hear about that? That's not really related to our news, but he's just.
Did you see he announced he had COVID a couple days ago?
I did see that. Yeah, it's too bad.
He, his wife, and his 2 daughters all got COVID.
Yeah.
This could be good news.
You know,
because The Rock is like the new Chuck freaking Norris, man, and maybe The Rock is going to kill COVID. You know,
here's the deal. Because COVID affects your sense of smell, he can't even smell what The Rock is cooking.
We're laughing, but I really hope that The Rock is going to be okay here.
Oh, apparently he's already out of it.
He's already over it, man. It's like a 2-day deal. If you don't have like severe symptoms, it's like a 2-day deal, and then you're just recovering your sense of smell.
My mom had it pretty bad, but she's fine now. But yeah, it varies. You get people that get it and die, unfortunately. You get other people that get it, and they're like, yeah, it was like the sniffles. And then you get people in between.
Yeah.
July 30th, 2021 is Jungle Cruise.
Oh, dang. They really pushed that out. It's supposed to come out this year. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of, Jesse Plemons is in that one.
It all circles around.
It's all, hey, we're running our own little Tenet here. The beginning met the end, and it's but yeah, so thank you to everyone for sticking around, listen to our thoughts on Tenet. Please be sure to go check out us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search Couch Crunchers and it'll take you right there. We are often imitated, never duplicated. So just search Couch Crunchers and you'll find it on any of those social networks. And tune in every week here at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time for another Saturday night film review, movie review, Saturday night spoiler review. What are we calling this? I don't remember what I called it. Saturday night.
Different.
Yeah. I'm the marketing guy, so I'm the one that comes up with all these little call tags and stuff like that. So Saturday night movie review. That's what we're landing on. So every Saturday night, check out our Saturday night movie review with the Couch Crunchers. Next week, hopefully Tyler will be here. I know he's been gone for a while. So he says he'll be here. So check us out next week, and we'll announce the movie sometime on Facebook of what we're gonna review. I think it's gonna be Mulan.
Well, we talked about Mulan might be better.
Yeah,
we were gonna get a review next week was the plan.
Yeah. Do you guys have any articles you're working on for the webpage? Anything people can look forward to?
Now, why you got to put us on the spot like that, Lance?
Because that's the only way I can get things done, bro.
I need to freaking post me a Matt Reeves one, man. I started that like 2 months ago. I'm like done with it. I have to update it with DC Fandom happening and the Batman trailer coming out.
Have you noticed that I usually say, hey, what are we reviewing next week live on the air so we can get something stamped down? But
we already decided this last week. That's why I'm surprised. We announced last week. Next week we're going to be talking about New Mutants.
Yeah, we did say New Mutants.
It's going to be a short episode. No,
because I'm going to tell you, I'm probably not going to catch Mulan.
Oh, you're probably not going to catch Mulan. Well, I'm going to be watching it on Monday for Labor Day, so I'll have.
So check us out on couchcrunchers.com, on the social networks, and on YouTube. Check out our friends, Absolute Geek, Grizzle Geek, Comic Exposure, the STS guys. Check them out on their respective social media networks and YouTube channels. And until next time, keep on geeking on.